G'day guys, Duckville here for game number 6 from the IPL Team Arena Challenge. This is between Dream Team Gaming and NS Hosio. These guys have been battling back and forth. Of course, we saw dtG Sickness doing a fantastic job in the first 3 games for them. We then have had Hoon on a little bit of his own sort of run at the moment. He's up here at the top sort of 12, sort of 1 o'clock position on Atlantis Spaceship. This map, of course, not seen too often, but of course it has been used in some of the various tournaments that have gone around. In fact, I've never really played too much on this. I've played once on this map just as part of a little fun game, but it's a really cool map. There is some really nice expansions to see, and of course some really interesting little features like the triple gas down here at this expansion, and in fact the third gas is actually hidden inside a Vespane, an actual gas wall, that sort of thing. But the players we've got here, we've got NS Hosio Hoon just out in the red at the top side, who's been doing really well, did a great job against Null Ra in the previous game, just really capitalizing on what I am still convinced is an unfortunate mistake by Null Ra, just marching his units up a very thin choke point and getting absolutely annihilated. His opponent here will be from Dream Team Gaming. They've sent out their one of their premier Terrans. It is Miso, who is, as I said, a really decent Terran. He's done a great job in the Playhem dailies. He's been competing in those on the NA server, I believe. He's also competed in a few of the Korean weeklies, I think. Don't quote me on that one, but either way, we've got a TvT on our hands. This could go for 6 years. This could go for 5 minutes. I'm not actually sure, but that's the way it seems to go for TvTs, because you'll have some really quick battles with some early pushes with Marines, tanks, all that sort of jazz, or some drops or Banshees that actually decimate things. Or you can move into a late game structure with guys separating the map. This map does seem to look pretty good for a TvT map separation, where you've just got a line of tanks covering the middle. Looks a little bit like a chessboard when you've got all of those units sort of lined up and they're sort of moving back and forth in those sorts of positions, trying to just really jockey for spots there. And if they can get one, they can be really good. But we'll find out if that is going to come about here. We've got Miso just scouting out. He's just sending in this SCV. He's going to find out that his opponent hasn't done the full wall off just as of yet, so he's going to get in free of charge. There is a factory on the way very quickly here, probably signaling something along the lines of Banshees, or some sort of a drop is the other option. And then we've got Miso just heading out with a very quick command center off the one base. He does have his own gas at the moment, putting down a factory as well. Looks as if he may try and try and tech up pretty quickly here. In fact, he's grabbing the second gas. I do love this. This is a really nice style. It's a little bit greedier than what you would normally see when people try and expand like this, but of course this is a pretty big map, as we can see here. There is a long way to go. In fact, I have to actually move my mouse back before I can scroll the second portion of that. So there's a long way to go for Marines to come down. If there's something proxy, we have seen, I can't remember which game it was, but there was a proxy factory and racks just in this position here, and the player over on this side was unfortunately caught out by that. So those are the real options for punishment against this sort of build. But looks as if Hoon is going to scout out with a Hellion here. He's going to find some Marines that are not inside a bunker, but now they are. There is no way he's going to be able to push past that very safely. Inside the base of Miso, though, he's getting his starport up. We've got the SCV count sitting alright for him. He's currently at 19. We've got Hoon at 22. He's about to grab a couple more as well. But it looks as if we do have a Banshee on the way here. There is no spinning or green lights on the tech lab, so there's no cloak being researched there, or either that or there is no party at that tech lab. So the Banshee is going to be easily detected here by Miso, and he's going to be able to defend against that. As we saw, he did have a starport coming out. Do not be surprised if a Viking is the first unit of construction from here. He'll be able to easily defend that Banshee once it comes through. Now, looks as if Hoon is going to try and go for an early attack here. We've got a few Marines along with a couple of Hellions as well. The Hellions are generally, of course, there to try and deal with the Marines if they can get to them. The problem is that he's got no way of actually getting to the Marines while they're in the bunker, but perhaps we'll we'll see a little bit of a distraction here with the Marines, and then perhaps we'll see the Hellions get inside. Meanwhile, the Banshee now flying through the backside here from Hoon is going to be able to get some damage done. No cloak, of course, so Miso is more than able to defend that, and then the Viking comes out, and that is going to be the end of that Banshee pretty quickly. But inside, did we get a run by? No, we didn't. So Hoon now in a really difficult position. He's actually lost his main sort of attack that he was going for there. He's now got to pull back with these Marines just in case there's any sorts of counters. There is a chance that Miso could get a medevac out. I was about to say dropship, but I didn't, luckily. And we could see a drop perhaps back in Hoon's base, but obviously that is up for debate just at the moment. But looks as if Hoon is going to try and get himself back on scale with Miso. Miso currently sitting at a total of 28 SCVs. Of course, he's been able to catch up pretty quickly given that he had the fastest second command center, and his economy will be sitting very, very nicely very soon because he's got those extra mules starting to kick in. Hoon has now completed his command center down at the natural. He's got a couple of these racks coming up. We got a starport building a reactor as well, and he'll be sitting at the generally the same sort of position, but a little bit behind where Miso is now, and Miso will be able to get his production going very nicely soon too. So we'll see what Miso is going to start up with here once he gets his once he gets all his production capabilities prepared. He did put down that I believe that starport actually flew over here to put down the reactor, and now he's going to have he's going to have 2 racks with reactors. We're going to have Stim halfway done. It's just going to complete very soon, and tanks, I'm thinking this is going to be a very deadly push at probably around about that time Stim is just about to complete, because there's going to be a lot of Marines coming out of these racks. Of course, we've got these extra racks over here. One problem for Miso is that he is supply blocked at the moment, needs to fix that up, and is he going to supply drop? No, he's not. But he is going to build a supply depot somewhere. I don't know where it is, but he's going to probably push out with those Marines. As I said, once Stim is complete, he's going to be looking in a very fine shape here. These Hellions sitting in a line at the moment. They're trying to get bonus points from the judges, but this little guy over here is ruining it. He's got to move down just a tiny bit, then you'll get that 10 out of 10, son. But Hoon, what's he going to do? He's got to be prepared. He's got to have his siege tank ready. I'm not sure. It depends if this attack comes out, and here it is. It actually is on the way here from me, so he's got 1 medevac to help out with healing up those Marines. One guy over here is just a little sad. He's on 3 HP at the moment. But here it comes. So what's Hoon going to do? He's got to be really prepared. He's got to, if he can, he needs to delay until that siege tech is done. He's still quite a while away from that, but Miso is doing a fantastic job with pushing out with his units, and in fact he's just going to pull back. All right, so we're gonna sit back for the moment here with these guys. Miso just pushing out, trying to make Hoon just a little bit paranoid about an impending attack, and it does seem to have worked because he's actually supply blocked. In fact, both of these guys are supply blocked right now. That is really unfortunate for both of them, but it looks as if the 86 supply is a really tough mark for Terrans. I'm not sure if that's a tough mark from you. Let me know in the comments, and you know, we'll try and get you onto a therapist for that. But Miso doesn't actually have too much map vision at the moment. He doesn't have the watchtowers. He hasn't actually done too much scanning either. The last scan was actually that first one that caught the Banshee. And he's not really too worried about any sorts of detection at the moment. So he's just sitting back and macroing up. It looks as if he's trying to get prepared for a big attack. As we mentioned before, he may have been looking for that timing attack, but now he does have combat shields done, and an extra couple of racks have been completed as well. So he may try and look for another attack timing window here. He's just going to push out with this Marine and try and get some vision. If you can see how many Marines and tanks are prepared for Hoon, he may just try and initiate that attack, but he's going to head down here to the watchtower. The Marine from Hoon spots him quicker, and these guys are going to have a fight to the finish, but it looks as if the Marine of Miso was prepared earlier, and now these guys are probably going to have a fight somewhere in the middle of the map. It looks as if Miso has actually pushed out a little bit quicker. He has the high ground. He's doing his best Obi-Wan Kenobi impression. So we'll see if this affects the game here. Hoon does have the watchtower though, so he does have a little bit of vision. Not to mention this Banshee in the air. I'm a little bit surprised that Miso hasn't pushed across to try and take care of that Banshee. But here it goes, finally taking shots at that Banshee, and now Hoon preparing to push in. These guys are both actually unsieged, and it looks as if Hoon may be able to lose some of, he will in fact lose a lot of those tanks there. He's lost a couple of them. Hoon trying to push back with the Marines, but he doesn't get any range on those tanks. And Miso now has the he's got the high ground plus the vision. He's going to try and it looks as if Hoon is going to try and pull back. Miso in no way prepared to just unsiege these tanks just yet, and Hoon losing a little bit of his capabilities there, but he does have nice production back at home. We've got a few racks out, not as many as Miso has, so Miso will probably see a little bit bigger of a reinforcement capability coming through. In fact, unfortunately, some of his racks are not actually rallied just yet. I'm not sure. What is he? He grabs some of those Marines, but not the others. I'm not sure what's up with that. But there was an attempted drop here by Miso, not actually getting too much damage done. A couple of these Marines did look as though they died. One of them getting a bit healed up there. And now it looks as if we're going to have another attack. Miso preparing to push through. He's got a few tanks ready to rumble. He's got, how many has he got here? He's got 6 in total. One of them a little bit damaged. That's at the front. And Hoon, unfortunately, moving in there, actually losing some of his Marines. I think Hoon may need to move back here, but it looks as if Hoon is now going to push forward and is actually going to catch Miso unprepared. Some of these Marines taking huge shots at the Marines of Miso, and he does remove quite a lot of the Marines, and now the extra Marines from Hoon being dropped on top of the tanks. The tanks will clean up. Beautiful micro there from Miso. That was actually quite awesome. He's now going to have to pull back here. He does have an attack inside the main base, attempting to get some damage done, but the Marines are not really getting anything done there. And Miso actually losing a medevac that had two tanks inside. That is not a good maneuver there for him at all. Back at base, he's trying to get a third command center up, picking up the 4th gas as well. That moment of whoops, I should have got that a little bit earlier perhaps from Miso, but now we've got Hoon pushing through the middle. He's got a lot of medevacs to heal up those Marines, not to mention he can use those to get to the high positions. Perhaps we'll see him try and get some of the Marines on the high ground here and try and push back. Miso now moving into position to try and defend one of the SCVs out in front, going to take a firing shot. The Marines now pushing through. Looks as if Miso does have 1-1. Meanwhile, Hoon only has 0-1. In fact, now, there you go, bam, just completes in time. So these guys are relatively even on their tech. No extra upgrades for either of these guys, so they're both sitting pretty well there. Hoon is now just about mined out in his main base here, so he's going to need to get some third base action very soon if he wants to stay in the game. Miso, meanwhile, already has the orbital command floating down to his own third base, so he is going to be able to secure that quite quickly. Someone in the spectators just pointing out that these 2 tanks are still sitting out here, and here is that drop I was talking about. Hoon just pushing up to the high ground there, going to be able to take out this Viking very quickly. Meanwhile, Miso trying to push through, and whoa, my mouse just went absolutely nuts, and it looks as if Miso is actually able to push through, so he was able to clean up that attack force there. The medevac's obviously not able to do anything when they're on the ground, when they're up in the sky there with no guns. They can't point out the window for some reason, and the third will be easily defendable here for Miso. Now that he's got a little bit of a lead, he should be able to crank through. There is another attack pushing through the middle. Not sure what Miso is up to here. He's going to have to pull back now, and things have swung around the other way. So these guys trading blows just left, right, and center here. Miso needs to get some. I would really like to see Miso just sort of stabilize for the moment and get some more, get some defenses up, sitting in a nice position here. He's now got his third, so he's going to be boosting up that economy very, very quickly here. We'll probably see a few mules drop down, but Hoon is well aware that that third base is up, and he really needs to get that denied if he wants to stay in this game, because look, he's actually floating his main orbital command down to his own third, down at the he's actually getting the opposing third at the opposite side, but Miso now has to defend against this attack that's coming through the right-hand side of the map. Tanks, they're only sitting at, wow, there's only 2 tanks here for Hoon, so he's a little bit low in the tank count just at the moment here. The Marines are the big component here for him. He's actually got, did he have an extra upgrade done? No, he doesn't, but Miso is going to have a couple of extra upgrades very soon. We've got 1-1 on his. He's about to get +2 for the Marines as well, and +1 for the actual tank weapons as well, so that's going to be interesting for him. Looks at both these guys. I'm not sure what's going on here. We're just going to have a mass drop from Hoon. He's going to push through. He's got a lot of these medevacs prepared. 3 medevacs with Marines from Miso now pushing through the top side. He's going to try and get a big drop going. Going to try and probably deny that third base, but 2 tanks now dropped inside. Marines on the production facilities of Miso. What is Miso going to do? He has no way to push back against this, because once these tanks siege up, he should be able to continually assault this base. And it looks as if a few Marines are now going to push through into the third base of Miso. This is totally undefended, and now the main is now gone for Miso. He's going to also lose the third. There are so many SCVs that are dying here for him, but Miso now doing his own drop on top of the third of Hoon. Hoon is, this is going to be perhaps a little bit of a base race here for these Terrans. We'll see if Miso is able to defend. Now finding out that these tanks are all alone here. Should be able to drop some Marines on here, and if he can, he'll be able to do some more damage. No, he isn't, but Hoon is now losing a little bit of his own base inside with these Marines doing quite a lot of damage. The +2 to the infantry weapons about to kick in here for Miso, so that'll definitely help with cleaning up Hoon's base. But the issue is, can he push against these tanks which are sieged up? And yes, he can. A few Marines are just buffering there for the tanks, and the tanks get into position, but there is no way that they are actually able to take care of the remaining tanks for Hoon. And Hoon, really worried at the moment what he's going to do, because he's still, actually no, he's mining there. I thought he lost all of that mining, but the medevacs now pulling back. The few remaining Marines are now going to be lost here once the extra units of Miso get into position here. He has cleaned up the third, but unfortunately that got cleaned up in turn, and now Miso is that medevac is still there up the top of the map. So these guys really trading blows there, and things are actually kind of even at the moment. Obviously Hoon is down a command center. He's only sitting at the 1 where Miso has these 3 orbital commands able to drop down mules all over the place, which is really going to help him out. And as we can see here, some of these SCVs are a little bit not happy about work, because they've seen what happened to their brothers at the first at that battle that happened before, and now maybe we'll have another little interesting base trade situation here. A few of these tanks are really going to be able to help out with dealing with this third base of Miso. Going to have to lift it up very, very quickly here if he wants to survive this. Miso, meanwhile, is now pushing up to his opponent's third at the top side of the map. He's going to be able to get in here very quickly, but Hoon is very quick on the mark there, lifts that up straight away. The third of Miso goes down. Hoon is in a really nice position here. I'm very interested to see what Miso is going to do about this. Hoon now pushing in. He does not have that extra upgrade like Miso's tanks do, but I don't think it's enough. And now these guys, here we go. We've got this interesting trade going on. The Marines trying to target down the medevacs there very quickly. They are able to clean up some of them before they unleash all of the Marines that were inside, but the tanks, these tanks here from Hoon are going to be doing a huge amount of damage. And here we go. Gonna get started on this factory first. Gonna have to lift up that orbital command, and this game is just insane. I'm not sure if Miso is going to be able to do this here. He does have quite a lot of Marines here, but with only 1 tank, the buildings are just going to be probably able to float away very quickly. I'd be surprised if this doesn't turn into a float situation. But the tanks of Hoon just cleaning up that natural expansion there. The Marines can probably just push in right now, and they will indeed. One of the tanks, the lonely tanks of Miso, trying to come back and get some damage done, but he's not going to be able to. The Marines and the SCVs are trying to come back here. There is actually a second tank which has moved in for Miso, so he's actually alright right about now. Loses one of the tanks. The SCVs trying to buffer against the Marines and the tanks of Miso, but he's going to lose all of those, and things going to get very, very crazy here for these players. One of the orbital commands for Hoon is now floating across. Miso is down in the bottom left with his. He should be able to float off some of these extra buildings here as well. He's just biding his time, trying to get out a few more units to try and deal with these tanks. There are only a few Marines, so if the Marines can stim up and try and just bum rush with these SCVs, he may be able to get inside and kill off all of those tanks. Here we go. He is trying to do it. He's gotten inside, taking out 1, 2, 3. Are we going to see the other tanks go down? No, we're not. And that could be it. We've got 2 remaining Marines here for Miso. These guys, these 2 command centers going to cross paths in the night. There they go. Miso just going to land at this base here. He does have a couple of mules available to get some more resources cranked out here. But Hoon does have position with these tanks, so we'll see what happens. I think probably the best idea here for Miso would be to lift up all of these units and just try and drop on top of these tanks. There's only 3 of them. One of them is going to die in one shot. The others are kind of low as well. The command center now dropping in here. Hoon being very, very clever. Love that move from him. Bringing in a mule to repair these tanks is a very clever maneuver. He does have a little bit of extra minerals available. He's got around that 800 and 900 gas as well. And here we go. Miso now coming inside. Hoon does spot that. He gets the Marines out to try and take down the medevacs. And here we go, dropping on top. The mule's trying to repair. Takes down one of the tanks, two of the tanks, three of the tanks, and that will be it. Hoon, despite some very clever tactics, will be able to march down and just take care of this orbital command very quickly, and Hoon GG's. So that was an incredibly crazy TvT base trade between these two guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully I have captured as much of that as possible. We will go into game number... where are we up to? We're up to game number 7. We've got dtG in front now 4-2. And we'll go into this next game. If dtG take this next game, that could be it for them. And we'll find out who's playing in this next one in just a moment.